Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's going to be a little bit different. Today is going to be just you, me and a story. Okay, so I don't know where to start with this thing, and I've been debating if I should do it for quite some time now, and I don't think there's any reason me getting a script or kind of pre-planning what I'm going to say on this. So I've seen loads and loads of people have done this video before, and I kind of thought I don't want to jump on the bandwagon so late and do it as well. However, I do feel that YouTube and Instagram and all these social media platforms do give kind of me the opportunity to tell my story and also maybe be an inspiration for people and also encourage people to be who they want to be as well. And I think that's the reason why I'm doing this today. It's just to kind of tell my story and let everyone know that what I'm going to say is not easy, and it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. However, on the flip of that, it's also been the best thing I think I've ever done and the best choice I've ever made in life. Every time I go on Instagram story, people message me all the time on Instagram Messenger just saying like, are you gay? And to be honest, I don't think gay, straight, bi, whatever you are, it defines the person. I think I'm exactly the same person I was before I kind of came out, so I don't think that question always needs to be asked unless it's for a certain reason. For instance, if someone's best friend who's a girl fancies you and they just want to know if you're gay or straight or not so they can hook you up with them, then obviously that question is needed. But yeah, everyone asks me the question, and it's not necessarily something I hide. I am who I am, and I'm so proud and happy who I am and who I've become. However, it's just also not something, again, like I said, it doesn't define who you are, so I don't feel like I need to be running around the streets screaming it from the rooftops, because it's just not something that you need to introduce yourself with. It's not like, hi, I'm Carl, I'm gay, nice to meet you. It's just not needed. So, yeah, kind of throwing mine back to the start, I think anyone would be lying if they said, like, if you are gay or bi and you're watching this, I think, like, as a child, you don't necessarily know what you are. You kind of have maybe different feelings to how someone else might have. So I probably would find a guy attractive, but I didn't know that was wrong as a kid. Like, you've never had a class at school that says, like, this means you're gay or this means you're straight. It maybe just means that you're appreciating a good-looking guy, or maybe sometimes I've heard stories from friends that they've had those thoughts when they were younger. They've always thought, am I gay? And now they know they're not. And sometimes people do experiment and they do try things, and you do have to work those things out for yourself. One thing that I did realise when I was younger is that I saw girls as being really good friends. Like, I really appreciate a girl. And I don't know, I just connected with girls really well. And like, one of my really good friends now was one of my best friends at school, and I used to just love going around her house. She was like a best friend, and I think it kind of sunk in my head that I saw girls as more as a best friend. So yeah, when I left school, I was 16, still had girlfriends, I had my job, I was completely happy and fine. Maybe I did feel like there was a place in my life that was missing, there was something missing there, but didn't really know what it was. And it was actually when I worked for Santander that I used to come to London for meetings. And I actually went to a bar with a friend that I didn't actually realise was a gay bar. Yeah, I went to there and I started talking to a guy that was really friendly. He was 18 years older than me. And we just became really good friends. And we started to kind of chat a lot more after that day. And we started to hang out. And it was actually 2 months later that I fell in a relationship with them. And I am the kind of person that is very open-minded. Like, whatever happens in life, I just go with the flow. And that's what I did. And it was really weird that ended up 3 months later. I really wanted to move to London anyway, and they wanted to move into a new place. So 3 months we moved in together. So me being like 18, it was just completely a whirlwind of situations going on that I just fell into it. And I never told my family, and I never told my friends. And yeah, I kind of lived a secret life in London with this guy that I was living their life, because everything we did was their friends or people we met along the way as a couple. However, my family, I completely distanced myself from them. I didn't really talk to them as much. I never text them. It was a really weird kind of thing. I was trapped in this bubble of this different life that I was living, and I couldn't tell any of the people in my previous life. It was kind of, I left them behind. I never went back to Leicester, where I'm from. It is the hardest thing that plays on your mind, because when those words do come out your mouth, it's kind of like there's no taking them back. And that was for me. I thought I would go, or my parents would go to their grave without knowing I was gay. I thought everyone at school would take the mickey out of me. I thought everyone would just judge me and everyone would laugh at me, and I'd just be a disappointment to my parents. And another big thing for me, which was the hardest thing, and this was the obstacle that I had to come across, and that was when I was younger, my brother had leukemia for 6 years, and he was really, really ill. And he's fine now. He's had a bone marrow transplant, and fingers crossed, like for the past, I think it's like 9 years now, he's been completely clear. Parents always saw me as just living that normal life, giving them the grandkids that they want, and getting married to a girl, and just being their child that goes through life the normal way. Like, my mum has been through a hell of a lot of stuff in life. She lost a child. My dad got completely flattened by a lorry just before I was born. So adding on to all of that pain that my mum's been through was just something really hard to tell them, because I felt like at that time, maybe it is a choice, and maybe you can put it in the back of your head and say, no, I'm not, and try and live that normal life and get a girlfriend and have a family, and you'd still be happy. I felt I could go to the day I die, just having a wife and kids and just trying to live a different life. But then I realised as I got older, that's not what I want to do, and it's time to stand on my own 2 feet, and it's time to accept who I am. And I think being in a relationship at a young age as well with an older person that had been through so much in life, I think that taught me as well just to be who I want to be and not care what anyone thinks, because opinions matter and compliments are nice and all of that, but really, wouldn't you rather go through your life being who you want to be and living your life than getting older and regretting it? Because I have friends that are, say, 55, 60 now, and they could never come out when they were younger. It was too hard for them, and they completely regret it because they never lived that youth. They never did that whole dating scene and living a childhood. They never were who they wanted to be. And I can't think now back to how my life would have been if I didn't just make that jump and be who I want to be and just accept who I am. And it was after 1.5 years, I think about 1 year and 2 months of a relationship, they broke up with me. And I'm not going to go into all kind of like breakups and stuff, because we all know the first breakup is dreadful. You never think there's going to be anyone in this world for you again, and you think it's not worth living. And I definitely will admit that I was in a really bad place when that happened. And yeah, I was in that place where I didn't think it was worth living, and I just didn't know what the purpose of life was. I just didn't know where to go with my life. I had to live with them for 3 months afterwards. And the choice that I made was, it was time to be who I want to be and tell everyone. It was time to just be myself. It was time to come out. And yeah, I think, again, I kind of did do a cop-out. I didn't say the words myself. I actually texted my parents telling them I want to end my life. A friend came to pick me up because she knew what such bad place I was in. And I was in the car with her, and I texted my mum and dad and said, I want to end my life. And obviously for parents, that is the worst thing you can ever hear your child text you, especially when I live in London and they're in Leicester, and there's nothing that they can do about it. They can't rush around and just see if I'm okay, because they're 2 hours drive away. So I can't only imagine what was going through their head when they received that text. And yeah, they kept ringing and ringing, texting saying, you need to ring us now. And it was my friend Anuska who said, you need to do this, Carl. You need to tell them. You need to be who you want to be. And you can't leave it this way now. So as she got back home, I was in tears. I didn't know what to do. I was crying and crying. I just couldn't stop crying. And I answered the phone. And my mum was in tears. She's saying, like, what's wrong? We're here for you. Like, we need to fix this. And all I kept saying was, I can't say the words, just say it. I can't say the words, just say it. So my mum and dad had obviously had a couple of hours to think about what was wrong with me and why I was saying I want to end my life. And they kind of reeled off what those things were. Now, the first couple of things were quite funny and did, even though I was crying, kind of make me laugh a little bit. They thought that I was having a relationship with this friend that I was with that day, who's a woman with 2 kids and a husband. They thought I was having a relationship with her and her husband had found out. I said no. They thought I had a drug problem. They said, do you have a drug problem or something? And I said no. They said, do you have money problems and like you can't get out of them? And I said no. And the last thing they said was, are you having a relationship with Lee and something's gone wrong, like something's happened? Now, my ex had met my parents before and they just didn't even click. They would have never known, like, you would never know that he was gay. And I said yeah. And when that word came out of my mouth, I was like, that's it. There's no turning back. This is it. Like, I've said yes, I've admitted it, I've told my parents I'm gay. And yeah, they said, so you're gay? And I said, yeah. And they said, is that it? Like, why do you want to end your life? Like, you need to jump on a train and come home now and we need to talk about this. And it was the best feeling ever that they were there for me. I knew that they knew I was in a really bad place in my life, and the parents might not be there for you. Not everyone's situation is the same as mine. Don't get me wrong. Don't expect to go and tell your parents and them to take it like on the chin and just say, great, our son's gay, woohoo. Yeah, so I told them, and then my brother was the next person I wanted to tell as well, because my brother's obviously been through a lot and I've always been there for him because he's had a completely different life to me, living in a hospital, going through treatment all of his life. And I thought he would be disappointed and ashamed of me as well. But my brother actually doesn't love gay people. He doesn't understand it as much as everyone. But he loves me and he's always been accepting of me and he accepts whatever I tell him. And yeah, I went home back to Leicester to my parents and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to react. Like, how do you talk about these things? It's such a weird, awkward situation. And they tried to crack a joke. They said, we drove in the car and everything was quite quiet. And I got to the house and they said, oh, we've had some new blinds in the bedroom fitted. They're very gay, you'll love them. And I just laughed and I was like, no, maybe it's a bit early to be cracking jokes. Next, we sat down and had the chat. Now, I love my parents to bits, and my way that I accept things is everyone's mind thinks differently. Everyone is different in this world. So I don't expect when you come out to someone for them just to accept it and just to understand it, because it's confusing for them, because it's not the way they think. So the way life is, we see things as like black and white, and people see that it should be a man with a woman having kids. And it's only just now, over the past couple of years, because this is going back maybe 5-6 years now, it's only now that it's become more acceptant and people understand it more. And my parents said, are you watching TV too much and you've kind of just like fell into a habit, or you've seen it on TV and now you want to be that? Or like, and they say God didn't create Adam and Steve, and all of this stuff came out, and it didn't hurt me because I understood that, again, they're not going to just completely get it. So if you ever do come out, do accept the fact that you're going to have to explain yourself maybe, because I think it's better now and people see it more now and there's more stories out there, and that's again why I'm doing this, just to kind of explain to anyone that is watching. But just one thing that I'd say, accept who that person is, and also accept the courage and the confidence that it's taken them to say those words, because I will say, hand on heart, it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. I feel like once I told my parents, I didn't care what anyone else thought. I just kind of got that confidence. Once I'd said it, I was like on a roll. I was like, I can tell anyone and I don't care. And I do say that not everyone is going to be in the same situation, and not everyone is going to get the same reaction I did, because I had a lot of people around me that were supportive. My mum will sometimes say like, oh, do you think that girl, because I still find girls attractive. I think girls are stunning. Like, I can still fancy a girl. I can still go on a night out. It doesn't repulse me. The fact of, and I'm going to say it, sleeping with a girl, it doesn't repulse me. However, it's not who I want to be with. It's not who I want to marry or have a family with. I want to be with a guy, and I do. Yeah, my parents haven't really had to deal with much over the past couple of years. They've never had to meet a boyfriend or anything like that because I haven't had one. However, I think more and more now as time goes on and my mum and dad see it, my dad, and I will admit, doesn't love to discuss it. My mum now, she'll ring me up and she wants to be supportive. However, like, I feel like females have a different relationship to their mum than what males do. And like, if I was a girl, I'd be talking about boys or whatever with your mum. However, like, when my mum's ringing me up like, have you been on a date? How's your day? How's this? Have you text him? I don't want to have that conversation with my mum. I do feel it's quite awkward. I'd prefer to have the conversation with my friends. So I don't need my mum to be there for me in that sense. All I need is my mum to know who I am, be happy who I am, be proud of who I am. And if I ever need them again in terms of breakups or anything goes wrong in a relationship, I know they'll be there for me. Okay, so absolutely nightmare. I don't know where I was with this story, so I do apologise, but my camera just decided to stop filming and massively panicked because I thought the whole thing had deleted. However, I do think it recorded up to a certain point. So I don't know where this story would have finished before because I need to upload it onto my computer to find out. But yeah, the moral of I think this whole video is just be who you want to be. If you need any advice, social media is a great platform to approach people and just have people there for you. And if you ever need to ask a question or you want advice or anything, me plus many other people will be there for you who have gone through the same kind of situation. So just don't be afraid to drop me a message. But I'm going to wrap up this video here. Thank you all for watching. If you did make it all the way to the end, I really appreciate you watching my whole story. If you have any comments, if there's anything you want to say on this, please write them in the comments box below. If you think this was a good video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Drop me a subscribe if you do want to kind of subscribe to my channel, if you're a new watcher. And yeah, I guess guys, I will see you all on the next video. Thanks for watching.